call our Cleveland City Council regular session to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Mayor Brooks?
Here.
Councilwoman McKenzie?
Here.
Councilman Estes?
Here.
Councilman Cassidy?
Here.
Councilman May?
Here.
Councilman Goff?
Here.
Vice Mayor Webb?
Here.
Councilman Moore?
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. As is our tradition here in the City with Spirit, we will begin with a pledge and invocation by our Vice Mayor. Please stand. Salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vice Mayor.
Please bow your head with me. Lord, we come before you today as a very blessed people. We're so thankful for the opportunity to live, work, play, and serve in the city of Cleveland, Tennessee. And we pray, Lord, that you would continue to send your blessings upon our community and our citizens of our community. And that, Lord, that you would keep everyone here under your safe and watchful eye, and that no harm ever come to any citizen of this community. Lord, we have some decisions to make today that will have long-ranging effects on our community. And we just pray, Lord, that we will make those decisions that are not only in the best interest of the city of Cleveland, but that are very pleasing to you and in your sight. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Vice Mayor. The next item on the agenda is to waive the reading of the minutes from the last regular session, May the 12th, and that does require a motion from the council.
Mayor, I move that the City Council of the City of Cleveland waive the reading of the minutes of the regular session of the City Council held on May 12, 2025, and approve them as written.
Second.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. That's a proper motion, properly seconded by Councilman May. Any additional comments, questions from the council? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Webb?
Aye.
Councilman May?
Aye.
Councilman Moore? Aye. Councilwoman McKenzie?
Aye.
Councilman Estes?
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy?
Aye.
Councilman Goff?
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item number 5 is special presentations and public comments. We don't have special presentations today for 3 o'clock. We had quite a few public comments at the 1 o'clock session. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak to the council prior to the agenda beginning? Dr. Elliott.
Yeah.
You're recognized, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, City Council and the Mayor. We appreciate you giving me the time, the opportunity to speak today to you guys. I also want to say thank you and proud to represent Cleveland City Schools and our team with us today. We have several of our school board members here with us. Also, several of our staff members are here, administrators, some teachers, paraprofessionals in the room as well. And they're here today because during the school year, they would love to show support and through the process, but we know that they are busy during this time each day during the school year, and I appreciate them showing support today and what our endeavors are. Today I have just a few points I'd like to share with you guys and bring you up to date on where we are at this time. And we are here today because we believe education is foundational to Cleveland's continued success, and it is essential to the quality of life we appreciate and experience by living here in Cleveland. And so I have a few points I'd like to make. And the first one is, as we go to the next slide, is as we begin our meetings in Cleveland City Schools on a regular basis, we talk about the good things that are going on. And so we talk about the good things that are happening. And so before we talk any further, I just want to recognize some of the success stories that we have had in Cleveland City Schools this year. We're very proud of those. And here are just a few. Our CHA seniors, we had accepted into Ivy League schools this year as they finished. We also had Cleveland High School achieve a 94.4% attendance rate this past year, and we're celebrating that. And in all our subgroup areas, our graduation rate in the state of Tennessee in all subgroups were above the state average, and that's something to really be proud of in our schools in Cleveland. We also see a lot of good things happening in all different areas as far as national awards in music and athletics and school culture. our students and staff are achieving at a high level, as you can see. This year, we wanted to continue to promote literacy in a strong way, and we received a grant, and we launched just this past week in our community at our camps and locations a book bus, and where we give books actually to our kindergarten kids, pre-K kids, K-5 students, even middle school students, if they want a book, to continue to encourage and be in our community to build literacy. We have schools that have reached national level as far as recognition for capturing kids' hearts as we continue to build a strong culture in Cleveland City Schools. We have 7 of our 9 schools who have been recognized as STEM designated schools by the state of Tennessee. 7 out of our 9 schools, and we're on our way to be all STEM designated as we continue to drive home the fact of the importance of STEM education and continue to produce students who are ready to graduate and be ready for the workforce as they move forward. We're proud of what our CTE programs are doing. And thanks to our hard work of our educators, do not want to miss the point as we look at these accolades of the daily successes that we see and celebrate with our teachers and our staff for the community success stories that they have going on in all of our schools. And so as we talk today about where we're headed, we need to remember where we are right now and the great things that are happening in Cleveland City Schools. So as we move to the next slide, we are proud of what's happening in Cleveland City Schools. It's a quality of life in Cleveland, Tennessee, that we don't want to take for granted when it comes to education. We have 9 tremendous schools led by staff that do an incredible job each and every day. But also we know that we've talked about the growing, prosperous community that we live in, but we also know that in our schools that we need to be prepared for that and be strategic about that as well. The board has taken a bold step recently to move forward and plan and partner with you and this community to construct 2 new elementary schools. This is to move ahead. And so we are asking for a municipal partnership with the City Board of Education and the City Council as we can continue this conversation, not only about funding, but also about our plans moving forward. I understand that the idea of what we've talked about in the resolution that our board approved last week, we discussed an important piece of that. Not only did we talk about communication and keeping our communication lines open between the City Council and the school board in our school system, but we also talked about the potential for a tax increase. And I know and I understand that idea of a tax increase is not something any of us take lightly. As a fellow resident of Cleveland, I know we all feel the impact of rising costs and financial pressures, but I also know this: strong public schools are at the heart of a strong community. Cleveland is a strong community for many reasons, and our schools are a big part of it too. Building these schools is not just about adding the classrooms, it's also working together to plan wisely for the future of Cleveland. Cleveland is a great place to live. This is an investment for the future, and that future obviously begins right now during our discussions. And when we invest in our schools, we all win. Every family, every business, and every citizen. In the resolution that we approved on last Monday, we discussed the importance of that partnership. We talked about the importance of planning together, working together, producing the best plan as we build this out. We also talked about communication, working together closely in that piece. As we move to this next slide, one thing I mentioned to our staff at the beginning of the school year, and we continue to revisit that on a monthly basis, if not daily sometimes, we are on a mission. This is our mission. We are on a mission to educate and equip students with the academic, social, and emotional skills necessary to be successful and productive. Successful not only in the daily classroom, but success that's going to transcend over into our community and beyond. And that begins at a young age, but it also goes into adulthood. And that leads us to our vision, to inspire and educate thriving and confident students who become exceptional life learners and contributing citizens in their community. And we speak that and we live that each and every day. It's an important piece that we take to heart. By doing the work that we do, we're leading our next generation, and we are modeling what we expect of them. And our teachers, our assistants, our bus drivers, everybody in that area is the example for that. And as goes that generation in that classroom is what's going to happen 5, 10, 20 years down the road in this community. And we have to be prepared for those individuals. We heard earlier in the presentation that Mr. Fivas shared that the projected in 2045 could be 86,000 individuals, maybe 75,000. Either way you look at it, the numbers continue to increase. And if you take 12% of that number, which is really what you take concurrently of our current city population, is the enrollment in our schools. So if you continue to take that and look at the growth, we know that we have to be prepared for that. And so the first step is elementary schools, but we can't stop there. The next step is our secondary level. We've talked several times this year, and even before that, in 2021, when Cleveland City Schools put together a plan and came and shared that in 2022, we talked about the future of Cleveland High School and seeing that growth and having a plan of phases. And so we know that on that end, there is more to come in the future. So as we move to the next slide, we are committed as a school system to do what we can to work alongside the city council to work this plan and to be prepared as we move forward. The first step is to work and look at property, find property, and establish an architect to work this plan for elementary schools. That's where we would like to be. As we move forward beyond that, we have a couple of years of those projects being built out. In the future, as we continue to work with the ad hoc committee that we would have, obviously we would develop out the details related to the other pieces of that plan moving forward beyond that. But the urgency is now to start on these so that we can get to the other future plans that we have. A couple of things that I wanted to make a point about is the past vision that the city council has had has been tremendous, and the support on an annual basis financially for our operational costs is incredible, and we appreciate that, and we want to make sure we recognize that. Also, we've had a tremendous build out of Candies Creek Cherokee Elementary, and it is an amazing facility. You guys have been through it. You've seen it. We expanded that this year, and we continue to see growth in that area as well. 3 of those 6 rooms are ready to be filled immediately. We have a little space in that school for growth, but then the other schools in the elementary world is where we're seeing the capacity tighten. We have here in the audience, in the front row, individuals from Arnold. These ladies at Arnold work in shared space. We have classrooms where they share teaching language development with more than one instructor. We have individuals, as you see in the second picture, at Arnold, who have 6 or 7 intervention classes happening at the same time in the common space at Arnold Memorial. This is just one example. I appreciate them being here today. We are here just to ask that you guys work with us as we pursue funding and developing out these 2 elementary schools. The time is now. We can't wait because we know there is more to come. We have to be prepared. The reason why we're asking for 2 elementary schools is we have to set the stage. Hearing about the growth, we know there's growth on the northern side of town, but we also know there's a need on the south side. Blythe Bower Elementary, our largest elementary in this community, has 660 kids in it right now. There's teachers who are sharing classrooms. And I'll come show you, or you can come meet me down there one time in August when the classes are back together. We have classrooms, again, language development classrooms and other classes where there are teachers sharing those rooms. We have pre-K classrooms. We have 7 that are off-site right now that we have. They're at East Cleveland area. They're at the Blythe Avenue area, the old Blythe Avenue School. we need those back on campus as well. It is so important for them to be in their community, also for us to deliver instruction for a pre-K student in our own building to get them ready acclimated for kindergarten, and also to get acclimated to the ways of what they need to be prepared moving into our curriculum and the expectations we have there. So there is a high demand for that as well. The last piece of what I'd like to share with you today is these are pictures from just this year. And we know that our staff, and I just have to do a shout out to our staff, they do a tremendous job. And I think you guys recognize that as well, that this is our story. A lot of students here doing great things, from accolades from the sports area, from the arts, to being involved in the community, service projects. And we want to continue that because, again, this is about a quality of life. It's about a strong education, and we're proud of what we're doing. We're leading in a lot of areas across the state. We're doing tremendous things at the national level and being recognized, and we have to keep staying on top of that. And one of those steps is that we continue to see our schools grow and provide opportunities for more students to come. We are prepared for that. We train our teachers high quality, day in, day out, professional development. We're doing things to be prepared for that. And so we want to work with you as we plan together for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elliott. Any comments or questions from the council for Dr. Elliott? All right, thanks very much for coming. Yes, I see that hand in the back. Ms. Goldston. Although we know it, will please state your name for the record.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Michelle Goldston. I had 3 points, but once Dr. Elliott stood up, I have 4 points. As a former school board member for many years, I went to school with Jeff. He sometimes he claims me, sometimes he denies me, but I went to school with Jeff, taught with Jeff, went to college with Jeff, and an advocate for public schools. If you build it, they will come. And we built it back in the 1900s. I'm not saying what year, but the 1900s we did build for the middle school to get bigger, and they came. So it is time for the schools to continue to build. I know everyone cries about taxes, but it's time. Our population is there. I think every principal, assistant principal, guidance counselor in this room will say the kids are there, are they not? Do it like the kids do in class. Are they there or not? Yes. All right. So they are there. I mean, not to put pressure, but we know it's a city-county thing, but just let everyone know that the problem is there. And if you don't fix it now, it will become a worse problem later. Point number 2. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me today and let you know about the City of Cleveland partnership for June the 19th. Juneteenth event will be at the Mosby Park in conjunction with the College Hill Recreation Center. The time is from 2 to 5. I know everything is closed, so if you're in the area, feel free to swing by the Mosby Park area from 2 to 5 and celebrate Juneteenth. It's sponsored by several people of the community, including the College Hill Neighborhood Association. That's the reason why I'm here. Point number 3. In partnership with the City of Cleveland and with City Fields, the College Hill Neighborhood Association would like to say thank you for our garden. If you have not been by 6th Street, feel free to ride by. It's over our heads. But I would like to thank some of our sponsors on the record, which would be, Bill, you got to help me because I don't know what dude's name is.
Chris Golden.
Chris Golden. He is our tractor man who's moved all that dirt because we were doing it by buckets and wheelbarrows, and it wasn't going to happen. But Chris showed up with his tractor, volunteered, helped fill the rest of the beds. We have 22 beds current. And sorry, Mayor, if you come out, you will stand there above you. The tomato plants are taller than you are.
Okay.
Last Sunday, not yesterday, but last Sunday, we went out just to pull everything up because it was laying on the ground. We saw 2 cucumbers. Yesterday, I went in the ground. We have over 25 cucumbers. They're over 2-inch thick. So we took those to the neighborhoods. Some of the senior people, they was like, "Where'd you get this from?" We're like, "Our garden." They was like, "Are you for real?" And we've been eating cucumbers since yesterday, and I'm pretty sure by the time I go back out there today or tomorrow, there'll be more cucumbers. But also, some of the partners that helped us with it was City Fields, Noonday Rotary, give you credit for that, Mr. Mayor. They helped with our shed, Tractor Supply, Vocker, and M&M Mars. Those gentlemen came out. When you get a whole bunch of mechanics that know what they're doing, they pull out all the rulers and all of that and start building stuff, you get out of the way. And so they did their thing. They built our sheds, they built our beds, and we're more than happy. Mr. came and filled up the soil. The community has planted the vegetables, and we have cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, zucchini, squash. The Aldergate Garden Club is one of our partners. One of the churches has stepped up and bought a bed. We have it out for all the community. We don't have it open 24/7 because there wouldn't be anything there. But we're planning to set a date for everyone to come in and just enjoy our garden. It's beautiful. We have a gazebo that we were able to obtain that you can just sit in. And all you do is wave. Because people ride by and just keep blowing. You wave, wave, wave. And everybody in the community is like, really? Can we come and enjoy this? I'm like, feel free to. If we're down there, feel free to come in, just sit in the gazebo and just watch how everyone enjoys the neighborhood. White, black, Hispanic, Ukrainian, everyone just like enjoys the garden. And that's the fun part, and that's what we did it for. So again, I'd like to say thank you for all your support, all the different agencies. And then the four, am I up to four? Yes, Urban R1. We have been working with Bill Estes, Robert in the back, and Mr. Faves with our community neighborhood association for several years, trying to get this pushed through. And I'd like to say thank you if you vote for it, because the way the city, the old city is, not the new city, the old city, all the old neighborhoods, they're narrow lots, and they don't qualify for quote unquote an R1. But an urban R1 gives them the opportunity to take care of what is theirs and build on what is available for them. Because everybody said just do an R2. When you open it up to R2, you get anything and everything. So that's why we pushed for an R1 urban. And again, I'd like to say thank you for that. Any questions?
Any questions from the council? Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Dawson. And is there anyone else seeking this public comment opportunity? Seeing none, we will move forward with the agenda. That takes us to item number 6, which is hearing, petitions, and communications. Item 6A is a public hearing to hear public comments concerning the fiscal year 2026 budget. Today's meeting is being held to hear public comments on that budget. I'll declare the public hearing to be open. Mr. Fivas?
Our presentation at 1 o'clock stood for our comments on that, and we're more interested to hear from the public as far as if they support it or not.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fivas. The public hearing has been declared open. Would anyone like to speak in favor of the request for the, as presented at the 1 o'clock session of the fiscal 2026 budget? Anyone seeking to speak in favor of this request?
How much want me to do the presentation again?
No. All right. I'm fine without doing the presentation again. I'll defer to the council. All right. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition of the budget as presented at the 1 o'clock session? Please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, we will declare this public hearing to be closed. Item B on the agenda is a public hearing to hear public comments concerning a request by Dwayne Goff and Oasis Subdivision GP for consideration of an ordinance to zone 13.43 acres of property located at Pleasant Grove Church Road from CH Highway Commercial to R2 Low Density Single and Multifamily Zoning District. This was passed by the Planning Commission 7-0. I'll declare the public hearing to be open. Mr. Varnell, we'd like to hear your staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Good to see you again. As stated in our work session, this property developed before residential components were removed from the highway commercial zoning designation. It is zoned highway commercial presently to protect it moving forward as a residential development. Property owner has requested rezoning, and I support that request, and as did the Planning Commission unanimously. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any, but Couple of facts. This is an ongoing development, is actually being built as we speak, parts of it. So that's kind of one key component. And again, it's a change in zoning standards created the situation.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Varnell. Anyone have questions for Mr. Varnell? Seeing none, would anyone like to speak in favor of this request? Please indicate by raising your hand. Like sign. Anyone like to speak in opposition of this request? Please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, I will declare this public hearing to be closed. Item C is a public hearing to hear public comments concerning a request by Jason Farmer and Masana Investments to amend PUD 23 and PUD 41 to allow right-of-way connection between the two developments. This was approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. I'll declare this public hearing to be open. Mr. Varnell, we'll hear a report.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is primarily a life safety question. When we have developments that reach a threshold north of 250 units, they're required by our fire code to have 2 access points. To achieve a second access point in the subdivision off Durkee Road, they worked a way to connect these 2 together, and staff supported that. I think it actually flows quite well based on the preliminary site plan. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Varnell. Any questions from the council? Seeing none, I will now ask if anyone would like to speak in favor of this request as presented. Please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, like sign. If anyone would like to speak in opposition to this request at this public hearing, please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, I'll declare this public hearing to be closed. Item D on the agenda is a public hearing to hear public comments concerning a request by Joe Moore to amend PUD 44 to remove the pool clubhouse amenity requirements approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. I'll declare this public hearing to be open. Mr. Varnell, your report, please.
Yeah, this development originally requested the particular amenity that was included in the PUD. When I bring items through, there's a higher threshold we get to before we start requiring the pool. They've come back and asked for that to be adjusted. They're still providing amenities, open space, just not that specific item listed. And both staff as well as the Planning Commission supported that request. Happy to answer any questions if you've got them.
Thank you, Mr. Varnell.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions from the council? Seeing none, is there anyone who'd like to speak in favor of this request as presented? Mr. Berry, if you'll state your name for the record, please.
Ben Berry, Berry Engineers. Just like Robert said, it was an amenity that they wanted to do, but the number of units just didn't justify the upfront cost and the ongoing maintenance. So they decided to switch to different amenities, and this development still exceeds what we would normally see. It's 36% green space in this. I mean, just visually you can see how much green space there is in this development, plus the addition of a pavilion for covering. So if there's any concerns, I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Any comments or questions for Mr. Berry? Seeing none, thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of this request? We've heard from one speaker. Seeing none, like sign, would anyone like to speak in opposition to this request? And seeing no hands, we will declare this public hearing to be closed. Item E is to hear public comments concerning a request by Donald Lipford for consideration of an ordinance to zone 31.45 acres, property located at Sequoia Road, from CG General Commercial to MU Mixed Use Zoning. It was approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. I'll declare this public hearing to be open. Mr. Varnell, your report, please, sir.
Yes, sir. This is a situation where the property was zoned general commercial years ago. It actually contains several warehouses that have been there for a considerable amount of time. And the uses within those warehouses tend to be more industrial in nature. And when they need zoning letters and things like that for various reasons, I don't have the ability to grant permission, even though this exists. This isn't a new development. This is an existing development. So in looking at options, zoning mixed use allows me to grant them industrial uses, but it still offers pretty good restrictions to protect the neighborhoods around it. That's the decision we went with. Both staff and Planning Commission recommended support. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Varnell. Any questions for Mr. Varnell? Seeing none, is there anyone who'd like to speak in favor of this request? Seeing none, like sign. Is there anyone who'd like to speak in opposition? feel strange asking people to raise their hand in front of all these school teachers. Seeing none, I'll declare this public hearing to be closed. Item F is a public hearing to hear public comments concerning a request by the Chase Family Investments LLC for consideration of a plan of service, a resolution to annex, and an ordinance to zone 5.45 acres of property located at Lewis Street and Old Power Line Road. We are changing it from FAR unincorporated county to PUD 67, and it was approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. I'll declare this public hearing to be open. And Mr. Varnell will hear your report.
Yes, sir. As stated, this is for a plan of service and annexation and the zoning. I think the key about this request is new development in a part of town where we haven't seen as much. There's sewer on site. It's a easy fix over on the eastern edge of Cleveland. Additional 40 units with a mix of single-family detached as well as single-family attached units. There's a couple of slight adjustments made at the Planning Commission level, which staff supports. You can see those listed, pretty much just based on some of the architectural requirements and setbacks. And both staff and Planning Commission are in agreement in support of this.
Thank you, Mr. Varnell. Any comments or questions from the council? From Mr. Varnell? Seeing none, would anyone like to speak in favor of this request? If you'll please state your name, sir.
Ben Berry, Berry Engineers. I'll be quick on this one. Excited to see development in this area of town. PUD worked out well. I can get into details if you want, but if you have any questions just or concerns, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Any comments or questions for Mr. Berry? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this request? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, does anyone like to speak in opposition to this request? Also seeing none, we will declare this public hearing to be closed. Item G is a public hearing to hear public comments as a request from the First Baptist staff and council for consideration of a plan of service, a resolution to annex, and an ordinance to zone 47 acres of property located at Stewart Road from FAR unincorporated county to PUD 68. This was approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. Mr. Varnell, your report, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Number one question I get on this one is, weren't they in the city already? And I agree. So this is pretty straightforward. We did utilize the PUD that offers them allowable status on the sign they have, as well as some other ideas they may come up with in the future. It's a total of the acreage there at First Baptist, including where they're expanding, and both staff and Planning Commission are in agreement in support of this annexation, plan of service, as well as the zoning. I'm happy to answer any questions if you've got them.
Thank you, Mr. Varnell. Any comments or questions from the council? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this request? Please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, is there anyone who'd like to speak in opposition of this request? Like sign. Seeing none, we will declare this public hearing to be closed. Item H is a public hearing to hear public comments concerning a request by the City of Cleveland for consideration of an ordinance to amend the Cleveland City Municipal Code Appendix 6 to add Section 2.4 UR1 Urban Single Family Residential Zoning District as a zoning designation and a renumber of the affected sections for clarity and consistency. This was approved by the Planning Commission 7-0, and a map is being distributed by Mr. Varnell. I will declare this public hearing to be open, and Mr. Varnell, we will hear your report. Thank you, sir.
For reference on this is as was discussed earlier and mentioned earlier, this has been an ongoing process, working with our College Hill Neighborhood Association in regards to creating a single-family detached zone for the smaller, older, what we would consider more urban neighborhoods of Cleveland. This is geographically constricted, so it's not built out. And for the map you're looking at, you've got the train tracks running at the left, and on the right side of the map you would have the city limits on the eastern edge there along East Cleveland. Inman Street, Wildwood are all shown there, and so I don't know if you got your geographical bearings, but I can give you any kind kind of sense of that if you've got questions on that. Couple of keys, it allows a smaller lot size for a single-family house than our normal R1 would. It restricts the ability to build duplexes. It allows for it, but you've got to meet certain conditions and go above and beyond and go through a few extra steps, as well as townhome development, which can occur, but again, you've got to meet certain conditions. In cooperation with these neighborhoods, they're looking to maintain their single-family status with the single-family houses. We've seen a lot of redevelopment in these areas. We'd like to see that continue. We think this tool is a good source for allowing the smaller lot size where they already exist, but still having some ability to control the type of development and maintain the neighborhood character that they're looking for. So the other component is taking the Inman Street overlay that was created several years ago, changing its name, making it a little bit better, and giving us the ability to utilize that in other areas of the city, including Wildwood, 6th Street. And then we can build upon this, but right now this is as far as we're wanting to go with it. But if anybody has specific questions to that, I'm happy to answer it. You know.
What would the lot size be? You said smaller lot size.
Yeah, so the current R1 has a minimum lot square footage of 7,500. This allows for 5,000, or if it's a lot of record, it would be whatever that size is. So if it's less than 5, it would be a legal use. We're not going to create new ones less than 5,000 square feet, but there are ones that exist, and we want them to have the ability to zone them to something. Whereas the current R1 at 7,500, you know, that doesn't work. So, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Mr. Varnell. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Goff?
Will there be a different lot width minimum for this area?
It's
You want to split these lots?
yeah, it's typically with the, based on that 5,000 square foot, it would be 50 by 100. And so a lot of that is in the text of the ordinance itself, including kind of, you know, the impervious versus those things. We tried to take what was with R1, but adjust it towards that square footage, so it's a 50-foot frontage. I've had some people request we go down to the 40, but 40 by 100, but we felt the 5,000 square foot
Is
was
there a minimum on the width?
50.
I mean, if you meet the square footage?
Right, so it's if you're creating new lots, it's a 50-foot width. But lots of record that exist that are smaller would be allowed, but because they already exist. You know, we've got some over here that are 3,000 square
30-foot
feet.
lot, it meets the amount of square footage, it could be.
Yeah, well, yes, you could. It would go through a variance process just like anything else at that point. But yeah, there is a mechanism to do that.
Okay.
As long as it meets that square footage, because especially lots of record, we want to make sure they're utilized correctly.
Have you updated the setbacks for this?
Yes. So it allows, if you have rear parking, you can get up all the way up to 10 feet up to the right of way. If you're coming off of the road with a driveway, that does require that 25 feet because that's because of how people park and making sure they're not hanging out over the right of way with their cars. The side setback is reduced to meet those minimums as well. So, and all of that, you know, is in that ordinance document. It's pretty in depth because we've got to go in and change several different pieces of the ordinance throughout.
Councilman Cassidy?
Yes.
Tom, I just want some clarification.
Sure.
The map that you gave out, that's fine, you can stay back.
Okay.
The map you gave out, we were talking about this urban.
And that map is not.
But let me finish on
Okay.
this part. We're talking about this section. Is this going to be citywide?
No.
Or just going to be just for this area?
It allows for a little bit of expansion in the future, but it's south Ocoee would be
Okay.
an
I didn't know
area.
if it was restricted to a certain area, if it's for
We
all
are
the-
restricting it to what we would consider the very older urban core of Cleveland.
That clears that point.
Yeah,
Thank
so,
you for that.
so out on Mouse Creek Road where everything's RA, you're not rezoning to urban R1
Okay.
at this point.
Thanks for that clarification.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Any other comments or questions from the council for Mr. Varnell? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Would anyone like to speak in favor, other than Mr. Varnell, of this request? Please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none. Would anyone like to speak in opposition to this request in this public hearing? Also seeing none, we will declare this public hearing to be closed. Item I is a public hearing to hear public comments concerning requests by the City of Cleveland for an ordinance to amend the Cleveland City Municipal Code Appendix C to delete Section 2.21 ISE District and replace with Section 2.22 UMUC Urban Mixed Use Corridor Zoning District. It was approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. I'll declare this public hearing to be open. Mr. Varnell, welcome back.
I alluded to this earlier, but this is just it's a urban commercial zone that reduces setbacks from highway commercial, allows mixed-use type development, sort of like our CBD, but it kind of stretches out along these corridors. Places like Wildwood, Inman Street, they're not highway commercial. They don't, the lot sizes don't meet those demands in the sense of setbacks and parking and all these things. So what this is it takes a more, a denser approach to commercial development in our core. And it does allow for some flexibility on some other things, especially the setbacks though.
Thank you, Mr. Varnell. Any comments or questions from the council? Seeing none, does anyone like to speak in favor of this request? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, anyone like to speak in opposition to this request? Please indicate by like sign. Seeing none, we will declare this public hearing to be closed. Brings us to the end of our public hearings. Takes us to item number 7 on the agenda, which is the consent agenda, which was reviewed and discussed at the 1 o'clock, but does require a motion from this council at the 3 o'clock meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a proper motion by Vice Mayor Ken Webb for approval of the consent, seconded by Councilman Estes. Any comments, questions, or changes from the council? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman Moore. Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Cassada.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Gall.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item number 8 on the agenda is unfinished business, of which there is none, thankfully. Item 9, next item is reports from the council members. We begin today with Councilman at Large, Councilman Moore.
All quiet today.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman McKenzie.
Yes, Mayor, I'd just like to say, because I would be remiss if I didn't mention Tim Mason on tire take back. I don't think that any of this would go happen if Tim didn't work as hard as he did and see that it does take place and that everything is done. All the containers are brought there, the workers are there, and he's done a great job. I'll say thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Good words. Councilman Estes.
Yeah, Thomas, the response Saturday night was wonderful, super quick. I know there are a lot of trees in the 2nd District, and you guys, I got there late, but you guys were attacking it, really appreciate it. And I had some homeowners sending me notes that night when their electricity got back on, so thank you very much. I know that goes Brian Turner for the fire department, thank you, and Captain, the first responders, understood. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman Estes. Councilman Cassada.
Yes, Mayor. I've got a noise request on a small red car that has the name Popcorn on it. That's real loud. That's what I've been told. So I had to ask if the police department could look out for something.
What's the name again?
Popcorn. It said Popcorn on it. So I'm not referring, I don't know what person told me about it. But also we have the speed signs still, the signs that we put out that blink. Do we have those still available? Can I ask a favor on that part on Forest View Drive? Dwayne, that's in your district, but I have a couple people I used to work with, and they're talking about speeding through there, Forest. Speeding, can I get that out there for a few days, maybe, just to inquire, maybe a presence?
Forest Drive, where's Kingdom?
Also on Candies, in Freewheel too, if it's possible to move that sign after 3 or 4 days and move it there, just to make a precedent to try to slow traffic down going down those areas. I'm having a lot more complaints from it.
Thomas, you have specific addresses on Forest View and
No, I would think that people are cutting through Mimosa, going through and going to Publix, jumping across. So I would probably keep it, I think there's a dead end there, and there's another road that goes over. If you can put it there where they're coming through the neighborhood, where they catch them, the sign's there where they can see it, not as they start out, but that way. So the same way with Candies and Freewheel, if you can just move it around a couple of times, just so to be aware of it, I would appreciate it. Also because of kids are out of school neighborhoods, the kids are out playing, I'm worried about somebody going to, get hurt all through the community. Because schools are out, all administrators are here today on that part. And last but not least, I like to announce too that, let's see, the 19th. We don't have another meeting for the 19th, did we? 19th? The 19th, we got a 3rd district meeting at Cherokee, Kansas Creek Cherokee Elementary School. It's nice enough to host us at 6:30 for the District 3 to come out to listen to their needs and wants in that community. So I want to offer it out to Ken, Dan, and Large, any other council member wants to come to listen to what their needs are in that community. So that's all I have, Mayor. And Mayor, you're welcome too. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Thanks for the invitation. Councilman May?
No, I don't have nothing, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Goff?
Yes, Mr. Fivas, on the, I was going to see if on the future, when we're showing the tax rates of the different cities, if we can in the future get along with that information of like the tax rate, I'd like to see population, like the rooftops, and then total tax revenue for those cities, just for comparable. Secondly, I told Ms. Molinax I'd recheck on the Duracell noise. I just want to see if you've had a chance from Mr. Barry and if he's had any information back from Duracell.
Yeah, she lives next to Tom Rowland, and Mr. Barry is that Duracell had done a study in the past, because we had noise issues there before, and he was going to reconnect with them and see if their study has been fully implemented and see if they've had any other complaints.
I told her I'd ask again today. She's about to have her second child, and she's just concerned about the noise in her yard. So any information we get from Mr. Barry from them would be great.
All right.
Lastly, I got. Oh, I think I had. Chris, can you pull up those photos?
We can't hear.
Oh, you got them up already? Okay. So I know this has been brought up at least once or twice in the past. The mayor brought this up a year ago before I was on the council based on my request. But if you look at the picture on the left is the SUV, the black SUV facing the opposite direction on 1st Street in front of Bank of Cleveland almost hit me going the wrong way. You can also see that the traffic lights are working on the wrong way. They also work the wrong way on Broad Street. If you look at the picture on the right, that shows Broad Street and the traffic light is green going the wrong direction. So I know we don't really handle, it's Cleveland Utilities' responsibility to handle the traffic lights, but this hasn't been done in giving them ample amount of time. My concern is the liability of Cleveland citizens, someone across the street. At nighttime, it's even a worse situation in understanding which direction you're supposed to be going. And if they can't fix it expeditiously, I would like the city to give Cleveland Utilities a formal letter from the city to let them know that the liability of
of this will be, on them if something happens to someone across the street or a head-on collision.
Yeah, we certainly let them know in the past about it.
Yeah, it's been several times and it's been, I know, over a year. That's all I have.
Thank you,
Little
Councilman Goff.
context on that, there was a opinion from a previous traffic engineer that those lights actually aid in pedestrian crossings. I 100% agree with you. There is an active work order to do just that, to remove all those signal heads. It's been in Cleveland Utilities' hands for a little bit now, so it could be any week, any day
Okay,
that we get those removed.
perfect. Thank you.
I will follow up and concur with Councilman Goff. Having multiple businesses on these two streets, it is a daily, if not multiple times a day, people are driving the wrong way all day and all night. And it is shockingly dangerous. So I would concur that we follow up and find out where that work order is.
Well, yeah, we did see an uptick on that wrong way traffic on Bobby Taylor when Elm Street was closed. But there's an active work order.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Goff. Vice Mayor Webb.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Item number 10 on the agenda is new business and ordinances. Item 10A is ordinance 2025-21, amending the FY 2025 budget. It's in your packets on pages 125 to 131. Any additional comments, Mr. Fivas?
No, sir.
So moved.
Second.
That's a proper motion by Councilman Estes, properly seconded by Councilman May. Any additional comments, questions, or concerns from the council? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Estes. Aye. Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Moore. Aye. Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item B, ordinance 2025-22, adopting the fiscal year 2026 budget, also in your packets.
So moved.
Second.
That's a proper motion by Councilman Cassada, properly seconded by Vice Mayor Webb. Any additional comments, questions, or
I'm
concerns?
gonna vote for this pending discussion and action on 10Q, the investment section.
Pending 10Q. All right. That's a proper motion, properly seconded. There's been comment and discussion. Any additional comments or discussion from the council? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Councilman Moore. Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item C is zoning ordinance 2025-23 concerning request by Dwayne Goff and Oasis Subdivision GP for consideration of an ordinance to zone 13.43 acres of property located at Pleasant Grove Church Road from CH Highway Commercial to R2 Low Density Single and Multifamily Zoning.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, I have a proper motion by Councilman Cassidy, properly seconded by Councilman May. Any comments, questions, or concerns from the council? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Moore. Councilwoman McKenzie. Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
I'll recuse myself.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
That carries 6-0 with one recused.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. It takes us to item D, ordinance 2025-24 concerning request by Jason Farmer and Masana Investments to amend PUD 23 to allow right-of-way connection between the two developments, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0, and does require a motion today from the
So
council.
moved.
Second.
Proper motion by Councilman May, properly seconded by Councilman Estes. Any comments, questions, or concerns from the council? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Estes. Councilman Moore. Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
That carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item number E, ordinance 2025-25 concerning a request by Jason Farmer and Masana Investments to amend PUD 41 to allow right-of-way between the two developments.
So moved.
Proper motion by Councilman Estes. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly seconded by Councilman May. Any comments, questions, or concerns from the council? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Moore. Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Cassada.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item F, ordinance 2025-26, concerning a request by Joe Moore to amend PUD 44 to remove pool clubhouse amenity requirements, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0.
So moved.
Proper motion by Councilman Cassidy. Is there a second? Properly seconded by Vice Mayor Webb. Any comments, questions, or concerns from the council? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cassada.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Councilman Moore.
I'll recuse myself.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Carries 6-0 with one recused.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item G, zoning ordinance 2025-27, concerning a request by Donald Ledford for consideration of an ordinance to zone 31.45 acres, of property located at Sequoia Road Northwest from CG General Commercial to MU Mixed Use Zoning Development, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0, and does require a motion today.
So moved.
Proper
Second.
motion by Councilman Moore, properly seconded by Councilman Goff. Any additional comments, questions, or concerns? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Moore.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman Cassada.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Resolution 2025-45, concerning a request by Chase Family Investments, LLC, for consideration of a plan of service of 5.45 acres of property located at Lewis Street and Old Power Line Road, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0, and does require a motion today from the council.
So moved.
Second.
Proper motion by Councilman May, properly seconded by Councilman Estes. Additional comments, questions, or concerns from the council? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman Moore.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Cassada.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item I, Resolution 2025-46, concerning a request by Chase Family Investments for consideration of a resolution to annex 5.45 acres of property located at Lewis Street and Old Power Line Road, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0, and does take a motion today from the council.
So moved.
Second.
Proper motion by Estes, properly seconded by Councilman Goff. Any additional comments, questions, or concerns from the council? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Councilman Moore.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Cassada.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thanks, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item J, zoning ordinance 2025-28, concerning a request by the Chase Family Investments for consideration of an ordinance to zone 5.45 acres of property located at Lewis Street and Old Power Line Road from FAR unincorporated county to now PUD 67, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. Does require a motion today from the council.
So moved. Second.
It's a proper motion by Councilman Estes, properly seconded by Councilman Cassada. Any comments, questions, or concerns from the council? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman Cassada.
Aye.
Councilman Moore. Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thanks, Mr. Clerk. Motion passes. Item K, Resolution 2025-47, concerning a request by First Baptist staff and council for consideration of a plan of service for 47 acres of property located at Stewart Road, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. It does take a motion today.
So moved.
We have a proper motion by Councilman May, properly seconded by Councilman Goff.
Yeah.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Councilman Moore. Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Estes. Councilman Cassada.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thanks, Mr. Clerk. Motion passes. Item L, Resolution 2025-48, concerning a request by First Baptist staff and council for consideration of a resolution to annex 47 acres of property located at Stewart Road, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. Does require a motion today from the council.
So moved.
Proper motion by Councilman Goff. Is that a second, Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Properly seconded by Vice Mayor Webb. Any additional comments or concerns from the council? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Goff,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb,
Aye.
Councilman Moore, Councilwoman McKenzie,
Aye.
Councilman Estes,
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy,
Aye.
Councilman May. Carries 7-0.
Thanks, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item M, zoning ordinance 2025-29, concerning a request by First Baptist Staff and Council for consideration of an ordinance to zone 47 acres of property located at Stewart Road from FAR unincorporated county to now PUD 68, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0, and does require a motion today from our council.
So moved.
It's a proper motion by Councilman Goff, properly seconded by Councilman Cassada. Any additional comments, questions, or concerns? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Goff,
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy,
Aye.
Councilman Moore, Councilwoman McKenzie,
Aye.
Councilman Estes,
Aye.
Councilman May,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thanks, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Takes us to item N, ordinance 2025-30, concerning a request by the City of Cleveland for consideration of an ordinance to amend Cleveland City Municipal Code Appendix C to add Section 2.4 UR1 Urban Single Family Residential Zoning as a zoning designation and to renumber affected sections for clarity and consistency. This does require a motion today from the City Council.
So moved.
Proper motion by Estes. Is there a second?
Second.
I think I heard Councilwoman McKenzie.
No, okay.
Proper motion and proper second. Any additional comments, questions, or concerns from the council? Seeing none. Mr. Clerk, please.
Who was the second?
Councilwoman McKenzie. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Estes,
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie,
Aye.
Councilman Moore, Councilman Cassidy,
Aye.
Councilman May,
Aye.
Councilman Goff,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Motion passes. Takes us to item O, ordinance 2025-31, concerning a request from the City of Cleveland for consideration of an ordinance to amend the Cleveland City Municipal Code Appendix C to delete Section 2.21 ISE District and replace with Section 2.22 UMUC Urban Mixed Use Corridor Zoning District as a zoning designation approved by the Planning Commission 7-0 and does require a motion from this council.
So moved.
It's a proper motion by Estes. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly seconded by Vice Mayor Ken Webb. Any additional comments, questions, or concerns? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Estes, Vice Mayor Webb,
Aye.
Councilman Moore, Councilwoman McKenzie,
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy,
Aye.
Councilman May,
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item P, zoning ordinance 2025-32, amending PUD 63 to correct a clerical error in the number of total residential units from 38 to 50 is approved by the Planning Commission, and it does require a motion today from this council.
So moved.
It's a proper motion by Councilman Goff. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly seconded by Councilman Moore. Any additional comments, questions, or concerns? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Goff,
Aye.
Councilman Moore, Councilwoman McKenzie,
Aye.
Councilman Estes,
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy,
Aye.
Councilman May,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item Q is council discussion and possible actions on community investments. Mr. Fibus, I will defer to you on this item.
Yes, thank you very much. Councilman Goff had a question, and I pulled together some stuff on the populations of some of those communities. Maryville's 32,000, Kingsport is 55,000, Colliersville is 51,000, Bristol's 27,000, Johnson City is 71, Oak Ridge is 31, Tullahoma is 20. I didn't get Dyersburg. These are comparable because they have city school systems, so we've historically have always used that because they're the most like us. But we can certainly make sure that we do that. If we average all those together, it's about 41,000. Cleveland's about 47,000, so they're in the ballpark. So, you know, we're gonna start a conversation on the pennies for progress options.
We've had conversations at the council for a couple meetings. And a lot of this was generated and started that the city schools had some requests for some funding. And we looked and see what the needs of the city were. And this is kind of the genesis of that, is that to give you an idea and just make sure we're all on the same page as far as schedule and process, is that today, we adopted the budget. The budget is not predicated on passing any of the pennies for progress options. If there isn't a decision to exceed the rate, we would finish the second reading and do the certified tax rate and be done with the budget on June 23rd. If there was a decision to exceed the tax rate, we would have to do a public notification, which is a couple weeks notification, and we would have the first reading of that on July 14th and then the 28th. So this is still a little bit of a process, and this is a similar process that we took in July of or in 2017. So any questions on the process?
If we do not vote today to exceed the certified rate of 12316, then there will be no
Yeah,
enough time.
so today,
I'm working backwards.
yeah. So today, I think we're not voting on anything to do with what the certified rate is. But we would like to have a direction of what you would like to have go out in the notice. And things can obviously change, but that's really what the goal is. If it's zero, if it's higher than that, that's really what we need to know is what to put out. And then the process kind of begins over the next month. So you're not making any final decisions or any final votes, but you are starting a process that will take about a month.
But we voted on a budget, right?
The budget will be complete,
Complete.
is done, is the first reading is complete.
Yeah.
You've had the public hearing, and the second reading will be completed, so we will not have to go and have a budget extension into June. So our budget will be complete, we will turn it into the state, and it's certainly doable to go into July. We're talking about what the certified rate will be. Moving on from there, obviously, these are conversations that, and I'm sure that Jeff is here to go. And behind you, kind of put a guide sheet that you can look at, is that basically, just to kind of get an idea on what other communities do as far as what their rates are. One thing in the back of your mind, that as we've got more information, for about every penny per month, it's about 62 cents. So every penny you add, it's 62 cents. If you add 10 pennies, it would be $6.20 a month. So use it, I'm sorry, on a $300,000 home. So if you have a $300,000 home, it would be, one penny would be 62 cents on what it would equate to on what they would have to pay.
2 cents a day? 62 cents a month?
It's about 2 cents a day.
2 cents a day per penny.
if you have 30 days in a month. Sometimes it gets a little worse than that. So we have, and I want to just to make sure we clarify that, is that the city school board has recommended the 2 schools. I have some things that city staff is looking at recommending. I don't do the recommendations for the city schools, but I do have to verify that what the dollars are, we can do with what we want from a financial standpoint. And we have gone through that process and be able to do that. So just because my recommendation isn't there, is it's really the school board that gives the recommendation to you, just like the planning commission would. And so you have the whole package in front of you. The first item that we're recommending, and the schools can certainly talk about, Jeff can talk about the city school part, is increasing our paving and getting it up to where it was in 2017, increasing it by 40%, which would be 2 pennies. Second one would be increasing 2 pennies and working on the turf fields, multi-field complex, indoor complex with an aquatic element. A lot of those are predicated, 2 cents obviously is not doing all that. That is predicated on using other funds, hotel motel tax, potentially liquor tax, tax increment finance, RETA financing, all things that we can show you what it looks like on how to get there. Those types of funds can pay for what we're talking about. But the 2 cents pays for a lot of the things that we can't use some of the other funds for. And I'm happy to go into great detail on any of that. In front of you, you have a memo that outlines all the reasons why, and the greatest being what I talked about before, is we need athletic fields, our aquatic centers, the Denning Center, Tinsley Pool have issues, and I think that having people from out of town come and play from a sports tourism standpoint to help pay for a lot of those amenities over time with hotel motel tax, sales tax, is a benefit for us for the next 50 years. We will have, and we're trying to get them here at the next meeting, it might be in July, is the company that did our study. They'll be here and be able to go through a lot of the detailed analysis of what it would be and what it would not be. Item number 3, which would be the widening of Mouse Creek Road, Freewell Road, Michigan Avenue. Essentially, we would put pipe along the areas there, and it's a little bit more complex than that, but essentially pipe it and be able to widen out those roads 3 to 4 feet in each direction, which will allow it to be much safer, and the rideability will be much improved. And we would also use some stormwater funding for that as well. And then the last one, and this is a little bit of a change, that you have 1.5 pennies, and you would be able to construct that. There's been a long-going conversation between county and the city and a nonprofit for a new animal shelter. We can go take you a tour of our current animal shelter, and it'll be very clear that it is not big, and it's about a 30-year-old facility. But really the option is that there's a significant amount of money raised from the private community to help facilitate and have a facility that will be essentially county-wide, and we would get out of the housing of sheltering of animals.
Second item is that at some point with some of the development that we're seeing just in the last couple of weeks, that we may need to have a new fire station. And mostly towards the north area. And this would build that station. And then you would have a new empowerment center. I'm not sure where we got that name, but essentially what that is, it's transitional housing for homeless families. It's an item that Dustin and Kathy have come and talked to you about. It's certainly something that we've had a number of conversations about. And over time, if you bonded this money, is that you would probably be able to pay for all three of those items over time. And then you have the construction of the 2 new schools, and Jeff may want to come up and talk about the school's recommendation. But we've looked at the numbers, and 3 pennies would, along with keeping our debt static for 20 years, would be able to fund that. I am sure that there are a lot of questions and a lot of detail, and we're happy to address those, and we know that we're all just trying to figure it out, and just we're available for questions as you guys have dialogue.
I think Councilman asked us how.
Oh, yeah.
Is it 20 years from fiscal year 26 or 20 years from when it's bonded?
When it's bonded. Yep.
Vice Mayor?
Joe, I just want to hear you say it again. With these additional pennies, you're comfortable that the additional funding sources are there to do these projects?
Which one specifically? I just want to make...
Anyway, say they were all approved.
Yeah.
10 and a half pennies.
Yes.
You're comfortable in each one of those situations that the other funding sources are there?
Yeah, well, we know the motel tax is there, and to use some of that. The one thing that's articulated in here, we know that there's stormwater funds available for that. Everything is solid on the indoor athletic facility and the aquatic center. It has to be paired with the tax increment finance district to help pay some of that back. As long as that happens, there's plenty of funding there. And when we do the tax increment financing district, we actually have to produce a schedule of all the money it would produce and how it would pay off the bonds that you would bond off of all of that. And as long as those conditions remain, and then there's a new thing that was just passed, it's called the REDA, that opens up other opportunities for development if it's paired with other residential or commercial development. So that's the answer is absolutely yes, as long as the conditions require that we can use those tax capture tools.
That's what I wanted to hear you say.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
I am sure that there will be other questions, and I'll let you begin your dialogue, but I will be available for any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fivas. Any additional comments or questions from the council for Mr. Fivas?
Yeah, I have one.
Certainly. Mr.
You
Estes?
don't have to come this way. For today, what do you need from us? What do you expect from us? What do you need for this to go in the paper? What kind of motion?
I think we just need a starting point of where does the council feel comfortable of starting. If you're going to exceed the rate and we advertise, you can't go above that. My guess is you can go below it.
Says may, by advertising that you intend to consider exceeding the certified tax rate, they're not required to exceed it. But if you state what you intend to exceed it by, that's your cap. You can't go above that.
That's right. So you can start and you can continue the conversation at whatever number you decide.
is that that's really what you want us to do the first advertisement at, if you want to do anything.
All right, I'll entertain discussion or motions. This is an official item on our 3 o'clock voting agenda.
So Joe, what I'm hearing you saying, this doesn't tie us into anything at this point. If we want to go to the max, and then if we, during discussions, reduce or don't do anything at all, we have that opportunity to do that, correct? We're just getting it out right now.
Everything you said is correct, unless John tells me differently.
Is that correct?
The reason you have to run an ad is there's a state statute that says if you don't, you're not gonna use the certified rate from the assessor of property, but you intend to consider exceeding it, you have to run that notice before you can start the process. It requires an ordinance. So you have, if you wanted to consider exceeding the certified rate of 1.2316, you would have to run an ad in the newspaper general circular.
But it doesn't tie us into that rate at all.
No, because it
We
says
could take
you
away.
may exceed it
Okay.
after you run the ad. You also have to send a notice to the comptroller's office.
So, Joe, we're just voting on the rate itself, we're not voting.
That's right, and you have to adopt it finally.
Yeah, no, you're not voting on the rate.
Okay.
You're not making any decisions as far as the certified tax rate. You're just giving instruction to say, where's your starting, or your highest maximum point of where you want to end up.
But we're not voting on each item today.
We'll have to discuss it.
I mean, I think having some conversation and having some questions is probably a healthy thing. But as far as today, this is not about making final decisions. This is not about raising the rate. This is about having a conversation to see where your colleagues are at and beginning the process.
Joe, when's our first, this committee, the vice mayor and I, when's our first meeting?
Jeff had mentioned, because they had appointed their 3 members to the board. So you have Ken and yourself, and then the mayor or his or her designee. And that can do, they wanted to do June 16th or 17th. I know one of the people in that committee are not available, so it would have to be kicked out further than that, and Jeff and I have not gotten that date together. So they had proposed to start very soon. We have a conflict with their first dates.
Can this type of motion and notification be done at any time throughout the year, or are we limited to a certain season?
You are probably, I don't want to speak for Mr. Kimball, but that you can only do it about this time when you're adopting the budget.
To exceed the rate?
Yes.
That's right.
So you can't do it in September. Yeah.
Because if you were to exceed the rate, that would affect the bills that would go out in October, obviously, for property tax purposes. And that has to be backloaded.
Tax ordinance has to be to
And
the comptroller too.
that's right, and the comptroller has to approve it.
Well, Mayor, I think that as we invest in our communities, you know, that saying, our families thrive, everything thrives. Infrastructure, schools, quality of life, public safety is really the 4 things I look at. And I don't mind having an open discussion, where it goes, I couldn't tell you. But I do want to get input from my people in my district, talk to some people, it gives me time to do that. So in saying that, I'll make a motion that put a notification in the paper for 10.5%. Is that the total we're talking about, the top 10?
That would be the maximum that was recommended
The
by the
maximum
schools and
recommended,
myself.
then we can go from there. And if it doesn't do anything, if we do a little bit or whatever, I can't speak to that. I just need to have more time and more questions, but I don't want to close the door if there's smaller things or schools or things that we need to address. So I'll make that motion.
All right. Ms. Brandon, are you okay with the verbiage of Councilman Cassidy's motion, 10.5? All right, that is a proper motion by Councilman Cassidy.
Pennies, put pennies on there, 10.5.
Pennies.
Okay, make sure pennies are on there. Make sure that's in the notice too. Pennies. Tim's pennies, okay, pennies. Pennies for progress is what Joe says for our community.
So that is a proper motion for 10.5 pennies for progress. Is there a second to Councilman Cassidy's motion for that announcement?
I'll second that motion.
That is a proper motion by Councilman.
Dwayne wants to.
I just had a question. I thought Mr. Kimball said we didn't have to put a penny amount, or is there any reason to put a penny amount in there at all? Are you
What I'm
limiting yourself?
suggesting you do is you put in your ad your intent to exceed the certified rate by no more than 10.5 cents. That way, the general public would know that's the most you might exceed it by, and then you will then decide at a future meeting, number one, whether to exceed the certified rate, and number two, all the way up to that number, or somewhere in between, or not at all. That would be the process.
And Mr. Kimball, just for clarification, once that number is published publicly, it cannot be exceeded.
That's correct.
So that is the cap.
Will the notice say go up to 10.5 pennies?
He said you could do low, you could do lower.
Yes, that's how it would work.
Yeah, okay.
The notice is going to say that the city is publishing a notice of public hearing that you intend to consider exceeding the certified tax rate of that rate by up to 10.5 cents to a top of the two numbers together.
All right, so we have a proper motion by Cassidy. We've been properly seconded by Vice Mayor Ken Webb. There's been discussion and clarification.
I was just gonna say, I think the key word is going to consider.
Consider.
Yeah, consider that.
We need to put a date on the books, Jeff, for that committee. I mean,
17, 18, any of those days?
Yeah, I think you have one committee member that won't be here all next week.
Mr. Fivas, before we have that discussion,
Let's
which
finish
is
the vote.
not germane to this motion. I hate to overrule you, City Manager, but we have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Mayor.
Is there any other discussion of the council? Hearing none. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Cassidy?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb?
Aye.
Councilman Moore?
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie?
Aye.
Councilman Estes?
Aye.
Councilman May?
No.
Councilman Goff?
No.
Carries 5-2.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Mr. Fivas, discussion on the date. Per Councilman Moore.
I would suggest to have Jeff and I put our heads together and get something set up as soon as possible, what I'm hearing.
Please,
Yep.
before our next meeting.
All right. So that will be done as requested by Councilman Moore before our next meeting, which is part of our announcements. Any other comments or questions, Mr. Fivas? Item number 11 on today's agenda is announcements. City offices will be closed Thursday, June the 19th, in observance of Juneteenth holiday. The next announcement is the next city council meeting will be held in this chamber on Monday, June 23rd. Third announcement is the City of Cleveland is pleased to partner as a bee city with the first annual Honey Bee Festival, which is this Saturday, June the 14th. This year, it's going to be held at the Settlement on Kinzer Road from 10 to 4. Please join us if your schedules allow you to. And I would be remiss, Ms. Brandon, for not thanking the staff and all those involved. I'm being told that today's item Q takes us to one of the longest agendas ever for the Cleveland City Council. So I would like, on behalf of the City Council, I would like to extend our appreciation to the staff that works long and hard getting these agendas ready for us. Are there any additional comments or questions or announcements from the council? Seeing none, we will see you Saturday.